All right, welcome to the Real and Real Estate Podcast, hosted by me, Lindsay Perino, a realtor in Tampa Bay, Florida. This podcast was created to bring awareness of what real estate agents actually do and some other helpful insights in the industry for the average human. Our guest today is Katie Hassan. She is and has been a professional sales coach and leadership coach with Southwestern Consulting. She's been in sales for over 10 years and actually started her career in door-to-door sales, and we'll talk about that later. She's been a coach now for over 7, working with some of the top professionals in the industry. We're talking real estate industry, right?
Yes, and related industries.
Awesome. And lastly, she's a proud mom to a cute puppy named Kokina or Kina. How
Yeah.
is she?
She's good. She's
Yeah.
definitely puppy, but she's good.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you excited to be on the pod?
So excited.
So tell me what you actually talk to me about what you said before you came in here about your outfit
What about
that had
it?
to do with Kina.
Oh, yes.
She's in a phase.
She's customized a lot of my shoes.
That's a positive way of saying it.
Yes, some of them are not wearable anymore, but some of them I've salvaged.
The life of having a puppy.
Yes,
But it's all worth it, right?
it is worth it.
Or almost worth it yet?
She's cute. Yeah, she
Oh,
keeps me on
good.
my feet.
Okay. So I didn't prepare you for today's
No.
pod. There's a reason why. And the reason was because I didn't want her to put me in the best light because you never know. So my question today is, would you choose me to help you sell your home or to help you buy a home? Like I want your
Yes.
honest answer. Yes?
Ooh,
Right
honest-
off the bat?
Yeah.
Why?
I'll tell you why. I mean, sure, there's plenty of agents out there, but I
Yeah.
think knowing you as a friend, I've seen what kind of diligent work ethic you have.
Ooh.
So,
What
you
about
know.
the blunt side of our friendship?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some emotional growth in you as well too. So, I think
Guys, I've
there's
grown.
growing. No, I think that there's a lot of that. There, I think in any friendship, someone who's willing to have hard conversations, and I think in any relationship, somebody who's willing to have hard conversations and like share what they think they're good at and what they think they can work on, and
Mhm.
be completely open to feedback is huge.
We've had some of those.
Yeah. So
They've been rough.
yeah.
No, but you have to have those in the real estate industry,
hmm
especially when people are like backing out. And you coach people that
hmm
work with real estate, that work in the real estate industry as well as lending,
hmm
as well as obviously other industries. But the real estate side, you have to have those tough conversations.
And at the end of the day, you're dealing with people, and people have emotions, and
Yeah.
being able to navigate those emotions and use them as information, not personalize and taking it personally and internalizing them.
Yeah.
So
But you've helped me too over the years be a little bit less brash. Is
a little more tactful or empathetic.
Empathetic. Compassionate.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad that you said yes. If you said no, we would just completely edit that
Edit
out.
and stuff. Nope.
Edit, go back. So what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Oh, well, good. So I'm curious because you're coaching real estate professionals all the time.
Mhm.
What are some stories that stand out, in the back of your mind, in your memory of really tough conversation real estate professionals have had to have?
Mhm.
Any situations where you're like, oh, that was a tough one for me to even help coach through, you know?
Mhm.
Anything stick out?
The one that comes to mind, I was coaching this guy. He is up in the Northeast area, I think Jersey area. He hasn't been in coaching for a while, but I coached him for like 2 years. And um, he had never knocked on doors, was very against it, like, oh, that's old school. And I'm very much a believer. There's lots of different ways to get business, and you definitely want to
Mhm.
fish out of more than one pond kind of thing.
Yeah, not farm. You're saying like not farm one specific area,
He
but
had
widen your reach.
Yeah, like, prospect different areas.
Yeah.
So, sure, if you wanna send flyers and farm a neighborhood, awesome. If you wanna network, go be parts of different groups, awesome.
Hmm.
If you just wanna go talk to homeowners, he had specifically mentioned how I don't even remember how door knocking came up, and he just, "I don't know if I could do that," and then we just started talking deeper on just the hesitation he had around it,
Hmm.
and just through a couple different conversations, realizing that he just had a fear, and it was only because of fear. So we talked through that. He ended up knocking on some doors a couple different times
Yeah.
and ended up having 3 different transactions from that. So,
It's a big deal. Like when we talk about, well, let's back up for a second because we'll talk about farming. So farming an area literally means if there's a subdivision, say you live in a condo, a residential area, you will farm that whole neighborhood, throwing flyers out, talking to them. They're going to know who you are, right? Because you have a consistent basis on which you're going to send out flyers or marketing material, right? So when you're farming an area, even if you know people, door knocking is a big deal. Like I did an open house last night and the day before went and door knocked, and they're nice homes, right? So you're like, what could happen? Like, what's the worst that could happen? Regardless of how many times I've door knocked, every time I'm like waiting for somebody to come to the door, it's like, oh crap.
Uh-huh.
Because then you got to be on, and be a conversationalist. But you had experience too, door knocking back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Not too far back in the day because you're still young and beautiful. But back in the day, so were you able to apply that to your conversations with him? Did he have any idea that you had door knocked?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He knew. I was like, well, luckily your coach door knocked for 4 years. So,
So I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Kind of.
No, but we talked about both the like technical aspect of door knocking and then like the psychological aspect of like, hey, don't be right at the door. Take a couple steps back, turn sideways. Like some of those things. As
Yeah,
well,
like
too.
even leaving your car door open. Somebody told me that, if the driveway is like facing the door or in the same area, vicinity of it, like make sure you park close enough, leave the door open so it kind of takes back some of the defensive nature of what you're doing. I think it works because people kind of look at my car and they're like, oh, she's about to get back in. It's not a long conversation.
Yeah. I think it depends on what the approach looks like too.
Yeah, absolutely. So good success story.
Yeah. Well, did that answer your question for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it did. It was something that stands out because, we're in an age where we want that instant gratification. And I feel like a lot of newer agents that I've talked to personally maybe don't take the old school approach. They're doing more of what's that service where you can call that sets up the phone numbers, right?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things that like
I want to say Viper. I don't think it's Viper.
I don't remember, but I know
But
that
they're
there's
subscribing to those types of
certain
products and
things.
services. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, okay, I'll call all the expired listings. The phone number's right here. They don't really have to do a lot of work ahead of time. So
I think that goes down.
I think there's a benefit of saving some money and just getting your butt in the neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to do business with people. Like, they're not really going to buy off of an email or off of a flyer. Like, I get flyers all the time, but I'm like,
someone called it snail mail the other day.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I understand, but wait, my marketing material is snail mail? No. Because I was going to hold an event in my condo, and I was on the Facebook group just letting people know, like, hey, it's this day. Look forward to seeing you all. And they're like, I think 5 of them were like, I didn't get it. And I'm like, I spent a lot of time and effort and hard work on that postcard.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a both and thing. People are like, oh, just email or just this or this or this. And it's like, well, why don't you try all of them and see what's
or
traction.
What a lot of people do. How do you feel about handwritten notes? I mean, that takes a lot of time, but do you tell any of your clients that, like, hey, do something maybe a little bit more personal?
I think getting creative and doing something different than other people are doing is always a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I know one of my good friends down in Fort Lauderdale, he always writes handwritten notes. Like, I go hang out with them or go to one of the events and I still get a handwritten note like, hey, it was good spending time with you.
Is this like your brother? Oh my gosh. You got to tell the world about him.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a broker with Southwestern Real Estate down in Fort Lauderdale. And he's just made that part of his practice to always write handwritten notes. And like, even his partners in the industry like make it a note like, oh man, I need to do that more often. But he practices what he preaches, or like actually makes time for it. So
and it's not paying for a service to write the handwritten notes.
No,
you actually
finds time on the weekend or at night or So
oh good. And he just celebrated his 5-year
anniversary party. Yep.
That you went to.
Yep. Yeah.
When, I guess, let me ask about him. When did he really start seeing the success after being in real estate?
I have to
Because it takes a little bit in this business. It's not like, unless you have an incredible sphere of influence that is all ready to buy and sell at the same time.
Doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen often. And I'm seeing that myself. I've been in it for just about a year-ish, and it takes a little bit.
Yeah, and I would say the one thing that I have noticed, and he'll even say it himself or,
Hmm.
talk about it, is just like he went into it with the long game in mind. Like
Right.
knowing that a lot of times you're planting a lot of seeds and it might not be a huge return on
Right.
investment right away, but if you're making the right connections, if you're being a part of the community, if you're really valuing people and their relationships,
Hmm.
it's going to come back at some point. And that's something that we coach on at Southwestern is just like hard work always pays off. Sometimes now, often later, but always eventually.
Right.
Like if you put in the hard work and if you're consistent with it, you're going to see a return on it.
Yeah. And you're coaching people too. We're coaching people. It's
Mhm.
kind of different, but a little bit of the same. So sales cycles are elongated because people are complex.
Mhm.
They're making decisions. It's emotional. There's money and time invested.
Mhm.
How long are your sales cycles when it comes to like the coaching industry?
Mhm.
By the time that you start working with someone, they commit to
Mhm.
finally doing it, finally realizing, okay, hey, this is the money that I want to make. I'm finally
Mhm.
going to sign up for coaching.
Mhm.
Like, what
Yeah.
does that look like?
Yeah, initially we work with people for a year because it takes that long to form some of those longer lasting habits. Obviously, there's seasons, there's seasonality in business, there's different seasons of,
Seasonality
yeah,
in real estate for
yep.
sure.
So we know if we can work with someone through every season of their business, we know
Yeah.
we can help them see results. But I mean, I have clients that I'm still coaching 3, 4, or 5 years later. I have one client we're on 100, call 120 something. So I love working with people long term.
How many times do you see people like say they want to do coaching, they get into it, they're super successful. And then everybody, unless you're, I don't know, this radar, but like taking Adderall all the time and you're super motivated. If they ever leave coaching, how many
Mm-hmm.
times do you see them come back? Because it's just in our nature. We need that
Mm-hmm.
coaching. We need that element, friendships, social atmosphere to really keep
Yeah,
us in
yeah.
check.
I love staying in contact with clients.
Hmm.
I mean, it's something that I can always do better at as well too. But
Yeah.
I did have a client reach out back in October, and I was like, "Hey, I'm having a shift in my geography and my work. Like, I think I need to get
There's
back
a
into
shift.
coaching." Yeah, I was like, "Okay, let's talk about it." Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think based on what someone's situation is, like we've seen a lot of people like get back into coaching, but it could be for a different reason, right?
Hmm.
For the I think of another client. She's in mortgage, and when she first got into coaching, she had just been in this like new to the sales side of it. She had been in the operation side of it for a while, and so when she got in, she was more looking to develop her skills.
Hmm.
Well, she got back into coaching at a different level last year, and it was more about like building a business because she was now in her own operation. It was more about like leading, hiring, retaining, building strategically. So
Right.
people are at different places.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All the time.
Yeah.
Um, and it makes me think about too these different brokerages, like on the real estate side. You'll have some brokerages that you work with that do provide training, other brokerages that you get a better split on. And this, is kind of similar to a conversation I was having with Sandy on the previous episode, but brokerages offer so many different things. And I feel like the higher the commission split, the less resources that they have. What's your experience with working with agents from X brokerage, B brokerage? Like,
Hmm.
is there a mixture?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all over the place. In terms of people that I prospect or that I talk to,
Yeah.
I mean, I think of one of my favorite clients in Texas, and she, they had internal coaching, but she's like, hey, we talk about XYZ with them, and it's a lot of nuts and bolts, but
Right. There's
what I talk about
different.
with
Yeah.
you like helps me apply those nuts and bolts, and I can talk about things with you that I can't necessarily talk about with my internal coach. So I'm always about like either supplementing, not replacing what they're already doing, but I think everyone's a little bit different in what they offer.
Yeah. And plus,
Yeah.
you can coach them from a perspective that's not fully real estate.
Mhm.
Like for us, sometimes we have tough conversations about did you price that home too high? Or
Mhm.
did you,
Mhm.
you never have conversations of did you price it too low
Yeah.
per se, but conversations that are maybe a little bit tougher on the brokerage side because, yeah, while we look at the data, sometimes it's just a personal conversation.
Mhm.
We can say, hey, here's all the data. This is what, to our client, this is what we want to price the home at. This is what we
Mhm.
think the market is going to respond to. That's a conversation you're going to have with your broker.
Mhm.
But then with a sales coach, it's a little bit different. Like, look, I understand they're a person, it's their home, they're emotionally attached to it.
Mhm.
Ultimately, they're going to decide on what that go to market price is.
Mhm.
And it's a tough conversation to separate because you know what you should do on the real estate side.
Mhm.
But then on the personal side, what would you do?
Yeah.
there's kind of like a compromise and a balance. And so
Yeah.
I see the benefit of having a sales coach.
Yeah. I have
Plus,
a
yeah.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
what?
No, go ahead.
What's that look?
No.
Do you have a
Uh
story?
no, no.
Oh, okay.
I've had those conversations though on how to coach clients, like how
Yeah.
to hear what they're saying but also be heard as
Yeah.
well too. But
It's the strategy and the psychology in real
yeah.
estate is a lot wider than I've ever thought, you
Mm.
know? And I think we have this idea of what real estate agents are
Mhm.
that, maybe they don't put in as much effort as we think because they're not in corporate America or not in some structured job.
Mhm.
And that's the whole point of this podcast too, is to
Yeah.
like bring enlightenment about that.
Mhm. Bring
There's
awareness
a
on like what's all involved in the back end and what they actually
Yeah,
do.
we're technically independent contractors, but we're under a
Mhm.
brokerage. And at the same time, like Katie works with so many professionals that do have sales coaches, right? She's a sales coach to them. We're trying to hone in on our craft, right? And constantly get better and
Mhm.
get different certifications or designations. So we're not just showing up to the table and getting that check. It's a little bit more than that.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'm sure you do see the other side of real estate agents that don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's
That don't do all of
there's
that.
stereotypes in every
Yeah,
industry,
did I just
but
kick you under the table?
sorry,
That's
Lindsay,
not
just
me. Yeah, with you being my best friend,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think we work off of each other pretty well. You hold
Yeah.
me accountable, I hold you accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. We've adjusted what that looks like, but
Katie run 5 miles a
yes.
day.
So that would be the question for you is like, would you get into coaching? I wouldn't be your coach, but
Do I need to get coached?
do
Sorry,
you?
do I need to get coached? I mean, I feel like you have given me coaching,
Mm. I
and
mean, you
you've
said you
been,
saw the value in it, so yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So Katie and I had a really big accountability conversation like a few years ago. And those conversations always happen when there's stress. Do
Yeah.
you remember it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I do
You're like,
remember it.
yeah.
You do.
It was rough. There was some tears, but she was so poised. Like even though it was an emotional conversation of us honestly just holding each other accountable, I don't remember you at all not being poised. Like you
Mm.
were still very much like pretty much not don't quote me, but like I love you. You need to say this differently. So
Uh,
it's truly helped because some of the buyers that I work with, it's tough,
mhm.
right? Like you're trying to get them to the finish line. It's not like we're doing these mundane tasks and just like checking it off. Okay, did this for them. Like
Mhm.
we're there, we're building a relationship. Like we work with them for so long and
Mhm.
there's a lot of emotion that goes into play. We've talked about this before. And sometimes it's really hard to keep your head.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
feel like the conversation you and I had a few years ago
Mhm.
has really helped me get to the point and be self-aware too
Mm.
of you can be upset based on their decisions, based on yours, but regardless, you're going to be remembered by how you made someone feel,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
what you
One of
say.
my favorite quotes. Yeah, like people aren't going to remember what you do or what you say, but they're going to remember how you
Yeah.
made them feel. And I mean, I think in real estate in general,
Mhm.
a lot of people miss that, and maybe they don't consider the first impressions they're making or just the interactions they have on a day to day basis. Like
Right.
you never know, like who that person could know or be or meet. It's just like work hard, be kind, and do what you say you're gonna do. Those are like
Absolutely.
my three things.
And never judge a book by its cover, especially in Florida. We're in a market where people can walk into a home, not that flip flops are bad and board shorts, but like can be millionaires or ultra millionaires, and you have no idea because our impression of how we think they should be dressed is just different, right?
Mhm.
There's like some cognitive dissonance there.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of psychology. And I remember hearing something like within the first 8 seconds, somebody,
Mhm.
you're judged.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah,
like
like
people have,
being able to identify what type of person is this. Is it like the driver type
yeah,
personality? Is it the person who's like going to relate to the people that you know or
right.
more analytical? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's helpful to be able to study personalities,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
I think when you first met me, I was very much like blunt. This is who I am. This is me. This is how
Yeah.
I feel. Um, And then over time, when you start learning different personalities and kind of adjusting,
Mhm.
right? Like
Becoming a
meeting someone with the
chameleon.
same tone.
Mhm.
You know, like if
Mhm.
you're talking down here, I'm going to talk down here. You're
Yeah.
talking up here, I'm going to totally do it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it
I
takes
love
a lot of
that.
practice. And
Mhm.
you incorporate that in your coaching?
Mhm. Yeah, we coach people not on like not only selling the way people want to buy, but
Yeah.
also leading people the way they want to be led. Because a lot of people in leadership have gotten there because they were really good at sales or they like hit there, but then it's not like they always get like trained or coached on how to effectively lead people.
Mm.
So they just say, "Do what I did," and that doesn't always work for everyone. So.
Yeah, that was very much corporate America is you
Mhm.
do good, you get the raise, you get the title change, but do you
Mhm.
know how to lead people?
It's very different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One of the things I love about Keller Williams too is the minute that you get put in a position like that, you're
Mhm.
trained on, okay, how to be a market center team lead,
Right.
right? Like this is your
Yeah.
role. This is how you approach people. This is what you do.
Yes.
So I think it's so valuable.
Absolutely.
What's the
Yeah.
best part that you love about coaching?
I love helping my clients see results.
Yeah.
Like whether that is financially, a lot of clients, yeah, double and triple their income.
Yeah.
But I also have had clients who say like, man, I'm better able to spend time with my family. I can be more present.
Like
Like,
they're more effective.
yeah, like I get so excited. I have like 4 clients who had their best year last year. And my one client, she's going to Monte Carlo on this trip that she won. And
What's Monte Carlo?
it's a destination, like, they're going on their, like, incentive trip there, and she's like, "I hadn't won that. I've only won it one other time in, like, I wanna say 17 or 20 years," but so she's super excited about it, and I was excited for her, so
I need to Google it now.
yeah.
People are probably gonna be like, "How does she not know what Monte Carlo is?"
It's, like, between Italy and France, I think, but
Oh, so it's out of this. Out of
oh, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. He's looking at me.
Miguel is judging me
He's
already.
I've been there.
Oh, you've been
Nice.
there.
It's nice, right? I mean, I looked it up, and I was like, "Yes."
Can you put a picture of Monte Carlo right here?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So,
right.
anyways, my
So if-
favorite part of coaching is helping people. Yeah, that's why I really enjoy it.
You know, my favorite part of coaching people, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't,
What's
I
your
mean,
favorite
just
part of real
being,
estate?
oh, wow. That's a good question. I feel so like I said this to Sean when I was coming home the other day. I feel so successful when I just complete tasks.
Mhm.
Is that weird to say? Like, it's not getting to the finish line. It's not like, oh my gosh, have a listing. Oh my gosh, I got my BBA. I'm working with buyers that are looking for a $2 or $3 million home. It's not that at all. It's literally completing tasks for
Mhm.
them, whether that's finding a home that just hit the market and they're really excited to see it. Or it's, like door knocking, things like that, where all it takes is one person for you to
Mhm.
talk to,
Mhm.
right? And you're like, oh my gosh, this is so worth it. That's what happened to me the other day.
Mm.
Talked with her for 35 minutes at her doorstep. She's like, oh my gosh, you're going to crush it. This is great. I have 2 connections for you. By the way, so-and-so next door, I wanted to say his name.
Mm.
So-and-so next door owns 2 lots and it's in a really nice neighborhood and he's getting ready to sell soon.
Cool.
Different
Mhm.
things like that make it
Mhm.
worth it,
Yeah.
rather than just getting a door slammed in your face.
I
So
like to call it, yeah, like finding the treasure. That was
Yeah.
like my motto for knocking on doors 14 hours a day. Is like, I'm just gonna find the treasure today, whatever that may be. I'm gonna make somebody
Katie is the most
smile.
positive person you'll ever meet.
I
I used to think I
appreciate
was positive. Now I'm a little bit more realistic. But Katie's like
Oh.
positive all the time. Door knocking is not easy. Any people that have ever door knocked for Vivint, right? Security systems, anything like that.
I had a solar guy yesterday, and I was like,
It is rough.
yeah.
Oh, were you like, I appreciate you?
Yeah, no, I've bought pest control from a kid before. I'm like, hey, if I like, sure, I'll listen to you. I mean, I know what it is.
I try to do that now that I'm out of the tech industry. Like when I
Yeah.
get robocalls where it's like you pick up their silence and it goes boop. Sometimes I'm like, not today.
Yeah,
Other
yeah.
times I'm like, tell me, what do you want to sell?
Yeah,
I respect you.
I think good salespeople appreciate good salespeople. So
Absolutely.
I'm a total buyer.
That's what I love about this industry too, is the connections that we can make. And you have so many. Katie is like Miss St. Pete, if we could do that. Not just buttering her up, but like she has so many connections. That's why you're on the pod. But really,
it comes out.
No, I love you.
Oh.
But like this business and talking with people and forming connections and just
Mhm.
knowing that anybody that isn't under a large corporation, right, where you have the healthcare, you have everything. Being an independent contractor is so pivotal to know people, to be nice to people,
Mhm.
because like you said earlier, you never know who
Mhm.
someone is, the connections that they have, and it's really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. I'm huge about that. Like
We just
of
all
course, I
lift each
love
other up.
like being introduced to people and connecting with new people, and I also always want to be a connector for people too, and just like, hey,
Yeah.
it might work out, it might not, but hey, you guys should meet each other. No,
Mm.
I think I've introduced you to like 10 people. You're like, too much, Katie.
I know. One day she sent like 3 or 4 text messages introducing me to different lenders, and I was like, "I'm so sorry," 3 weeks later. It was a lot, but
But yeah,
she knows
I
everybody.
like to help people. So
Yeah. And if any of you are ever interested in coaching, I know you'll either see this as far as the video goes, so you see who she is, or if you wanna just check her out too on the pod where you only get the audio version, we'll put it in the show notes for you. So,
well,
oh, thank you.
thank you.
I'm so glad you
This
came.
was fun. It wasn't as scary as not knowing what we were talking about as I thought it was going
I just
to be.
really wanted your natural reaction on like, would you allow me to sell or help you buy?
Yeah.
See if you said yes or no.
Do you really think I was going to say no?
I mean, you never know.
Oh my goodness.
Just
Wow.
kidding.
Yes.
Well, thank you all for listening. You can check out the show on any place you can find podcasts, but my Instagram, St. Pete Real Estate, Facebook is the same. And Katie, if you want to give
Yeah.
them your handles,
It's Katie Hassan Coach. So both
of
on
course.
Facebook and Instagram. It's just Katie Hassan Coach.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. I love you.
Yeah. Love you too.